In the world of medicine, a lot of what I do is teach people how to break demoralization in people. For people who have really been oppressed or depressed, how to break demoralization. And while I give this slide very differently, this is the essence of it. When you just tell people what they're doing wrong, you're bringing shame and stigma into the room. When you look at them in a sea of strengths with some deficits that can be fixed, why? Because you see their strengths as well, people feel the power to begin to change. Next, let's talk to kids in a way that they understand. All right? So, I'm 5 years old. How do I think as a 5-year-old? I'm an egocentric thinker. It's all about me. Do I think about future consequences of current behaviors? I can't. How do I view people? People are good or bad, depending on what? Depending on how you think of how you treat me. All right? Do you see how that's dangerous to be a child? Right? You don't think about future consequences of current behaviors. You don't think about the complexity of human interaction. It's very, very potentially unsafe. So what do I do? So we watch our kids to keep them safe. Now I'm walking through adulthood, where you should be watching me closer than ever, but you're not. And now I'm an adult. And how do I think? That was, by the way, concrete thought. Concrete like a rock. It's exactly what you see. This is now abstract thought. Now, as an adult, I can think about future consequences of current behaviors. I get it. How do I view people now? Are people good or bad? Is that the way I think of people now? Suppose someone notices how exquisitely handsome I am, right? And they take me out to dinner, and they're incredibly, incredibly nice to me, and they tell me to get the most expensive stuff on the menu. They're incredibly flattering. We go for a walk later, they buy me new sneakers, they buy me a new sweater, they ask to touch a little cat. What do I say? What do I say? Okay, you need help with this one? All right, why do I say no? What do I understand about their flattery, about their kindness? What do I get? That is false. Do you understand how protective it is for me to understand the complexity of human nature and to understand that what I do now affects the future? This is called abstract thought. Number one, only 80% of people reach abstract thought. It's related to intelligence. Okay? Number two, all people in trauma go backwards to concrete thought. When you yell at your child, you make them a concrete thinker. You make them run from the tiger. They cannot think in complex thought. Okay? Also, an area of very strong interest of mine, which I'm not doing for this audience, but I do for professional audiences, is trauma. People who are traumatized go concrete. Okay? So, how did I get to be this abstract thinker? Two things occurred. One is, somewhere in the middle of this walk, I had puberty, and then my brain began changing differently, and therefore I took in information differently. What else happened along this journey that made me understand the complexity of human nature? Yeah, so I'm a 14-year-old girl, and the guy comes up to me and he says, I love you. I question the veracity of that statement, right? I say oh, this is beautiful, and then he says, words aren't good enough between us. I want to show you how much I love you. And where's he the next day? And then they make love. Where's he the next day? So gone. And she has moved from here to here towards the safety of adulthood, right? And there's no better way to learn. And then if I was a learning theorist, I would say get out of the way entirely. But I'm not. I'm an interventionist. So I believe that when something is outside of the box, I protect, I protect, I protect. When they're inside the box, I get out of the way, I get out of the way, I get out of the way. Sex, outside the box. Okay, when you're 14. All right, so what do I do as a parent? I understand the complexity of human nature. I understand it all. So what do? I tell my child. And how do I tell my child? I lecture them. And let me give you a lecture right now. Don't you know that what you're doing, which I'm going to call behavior A, could easily go on to consequence B? If consequence B happens, you could move directly to consequence C, which could lead directly. I never thought you would do D, but now I look at you and I don't know what's between your ears besides cobwebs. If consequence D happens, you're going to go on to consequence E, which could lead directly to consequence F. I never even imagined you doing consequence F until you began hanging out with Charlene, and now well, her own mama doesn't love her and you're letting her influence you. If consequence F happens, then you could go direct. Look at me, young lady, when I'm talking to you. If consequence G happens, you go directly to consequence H, which is a slippery slope to consequence I. And do you know what happens if consequence I happens? You die is what happens. And what does the kid hear? Womp, 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 die. Listen again. A goes to B, which goes to C. There's several intervening variables that will make a difference to the ultimate outcome. That's algebra. When we speak in algebraic cadence to kids, they do not hear a word that we say because they are running from a tiger, and algebra is abstract. You cannot speak abstractly to someone who's running from a tiger. Instead, the best thing you can do for rebellion prevention during adolescence is to honor the intelligence your kid does have, understand the brain that they do have, and make it so that they will figure things out on their own. You want them to own solutions, because when kids own solutions, they do not rebel against you. When you impose solutions, they rebel against you, especially if you do it in a way that they simply can't understand cognitively. All right? So what you want to do instead is, you're thinking about doing behavior A, I think I get that, but I have to tell you that sometimes I worry that that might lead to consequence B. Have you given any thought to that? Tell me about that. And when they think, and when they come up, and only when they're there do you take them to C. Right? So that they are in charge of the cadence, of the speed, and they figure it out. In my books, there are many examples. I'm going to give you one that many of you already know. It's what I call choreographed conversation, meaning it's masterfully planned, but it should look spontaneous.